Hello everyone and welcome to another Heroes of the Grid video. Today I'm going to be going over the base game Ranger team, or the Mighty Morphin team, in more as a general, how they work together and stuff like that. And before I go over the team themselves, first, like I said a video or two ago, I'm going to go over in more detail how many of each card each Ranger gets in their deck. Now if you recall from earlier how to play videos, each Ranger only has 10 cards in their combat deck, with a couple of exceptions here and there. Now, Billy, he has 2 copies of Mighty Maces, 2 copies of Knowledge is Power, 2 copies of Tactical Strike, 2 copies of Counter Jab, 1 copy of Blade Blaster, and 1 copy of Power Lance. Those make up his 10 cards. Next is Trini. She has 2 Precise Strikes, 2 Twin Fang Teamworks, 2 Tenacities, 2 Saber-Tooth Strikes, 1 Blade Blaster, and 1 Power Daggers. That is her 10 card deck. Zach has 2 Sweeping Strikes, 2 Smooth Moves, 2 Mammoth Slams, 2 Reckless Blows, 1 Blade Blaster, and 1 Power Axe. Kimberly has 2 Acrobatics, 2 Flying Kicks, 2 Arrow Shots, 2 Take Aims, 1 Blade Blaster, and 1 Power Bow. Finally, Jason has 2 Blocks, 2 Lead the Charges, 2 Tyranno Slashes, 2 Team Tactics, 1 Blade Blaster, and 1 Power Sword. And if you're using Jason with the Dragon Shield, he also gets Dragon Shield, 1 copy of Dragon Shield, and 1 copy of Dragon Dagger, specifically for the Mighty Morphin Red Ranger. And I'm not going to go over every card since I did that in their individual videos, but I just wanted to follow up and just let you know so you have a better idea as to what comes in the deck, each Ranger's deck when you get the game. Okay, and with that out of the way, now I can finally go into more detail as to how the Rangers work together as a team. This particular team of Rangers. Now, since this is the first team of Rangers that come in the base game, I think this is the best team to use in order to teach new players how to play the game, and that's because since the rules, there weren't as many nuances to the rules as there were originally, this team kind of gives a general overview as to how the game works overall before adding in any extra details and stuff like that. I think this is the best team to learn how to just get a basic idea as to how the game flows. Now I know some people might think that since these Rangers did come in the initial launch of the game, that their abilities are probably underpowered and they're not quite as strong as others. And like any Ranger team, some Ranger teams are going to be stronger in certain aspects than others, so maybe the Mighty Morphin can't deal as much damage as another Ranger team. I really can't think of any off the top of my head that the complete Ranger team, I'm not going just mixing and matching any Ranger you want, but any completed team for this game that just deals massive amounts of damage, a lot more consistently than Mighty Morphin. And part of the reason I can't think of one is because I haven't played every Ranger team completed. Mighty Morphin's the only team I've been able to get 5 players to do all 5 at once. So I do have, and that's only been once or twice. So they're the Ranger team that I have the most experience with in terms of working together. But, even just looking at their cards, you can kind of see a lot of synergy between them. And I've mentioned it in some of my other videos. Stuff like Jason's Team Tactics. It's a very basic combo. Gain an energy, and another Ranger may play another card. So you could use, say, Zach's Power Axe, maybe even something like Billy's Tactical Strike to do some quick damage, and so he can put that back on top of his deck, and he can take the damage for the next enemy attack. Kimberly's Take Aim, it does help the team because it gains the energy so anyone can use it, but she's the one who has to play a card immediately afterwards, so she's pretty much using the energy. Unless you play a Flying Kick, in which case you give 2 energy to the team and you don't lose anything. And you can reroll any number of dice for that attack. Now, Trini is one that I think really works a lot more in a team. Like, the larger the team, the more effective she is because she has more options to split her stuff like Twin Fang Teamwork. Perhaps she can use that more often, and then just keep using Tenacity to keep recycling it back to her deck so she can keep chipping while the other Rangers are doing the big damage. She can chip away and maybe deal the last bit if she needs to. Or just get them that much closer to being defeated. And plus that her power daggers allow a Ranger of your choice may immediately play one card. It can be any Ranger. It could be Trini again who plays another card. And she could even do Sabertooth Strike. She could use power daggers on herself. Use power daggers, have her play Sabertooth Strike to maybe finish off the enemy she couldn't finish with power daggers, and then the Sabertooth Strike's ability activates to allow her to perform another attack with 2 dice. Second attack. So she can start attacking another enemy on the field. I know I'm using a lot of Rangers that kind of work with themselves, but this is more to kind of show you that even though these Rangers came out first, they are still very good. Even the creator, Jonathan Ying, says they always test out the many new expansions. They always test them against the Mighty Morphin team because they don't want people to think that if they get the Mighty Morphin team, they're not going to be strong enough. So don't sleep on the original Mighty Morphin team. They are very powerful. Jason and Zach can lower defense, with smooth moves and block to protect their team. Billy's can just take the damage if he wants himself. He doesn't intercept any damage, but he can just be the target because he has those star powers, those star defense abilities to gain some energy for the team and just do some quick damage with counter jab. Or like, as I mentioned earlier, he could just do a tactical strike, put it on back on top of his deck. And his Knowledge's Power is the ultimate search card. You can get any card you want. Any Ranger can get any card they want. Now, of course, you're giving up, quote unquote, giving up your turn, but you still gain an energy and you're set for the next turn, whatever you want to play. Or if you know you're going to be taking some damage, you could even use Knowledge's Power to have a Ranger maybe so Jason can draw his block so he can lower the damage by 3. Or give Zach smooth moves. Or maybe if Jason if he's using the Dragon Shield, he can get the Dragon Shield to his hand so he can not only block some damage, he can add an extra die to the next attack. I mean, it's not just the Rangers themselves. I mean, it's not just their combat decks, their character abilities, all of them. Most of them tend to work with... Most character abilities you can use it usually has to be during a battle, but it doesn't always have to be when you specifically do something. Most character abilities are once per battle when such and such happens, then you can use the ability. So, like Jason, he can, once per battle, any Ranger may reroll any number of dice during an attack. It doesn't have to be him that's attacking, it can be any Ranger. So once per turn, if you just get a really bad roll, get nothing but blanks, just say, hey, I'm going to reroll everything, and do that. Plus, their Zords. Again, they're, I think, the most standard Zords, but they're still very powerful. Especially, I really like Zach's, because not only is he getting an enemy off the board, he's also still adding it to your experience counter, so you're still working towards getting the next Zord. You get there even faster with him. So he's someone you really like to see. If he's the first Zord revealed, then yeah, that's great. That's what you want to see, because he'll help you get to the other Zords a lot faster. And the Zords, again, most of them can be used for any Ranger, and they can be used regardless of location. So even if Billy had to go back to the command center, he got defeated, as long as the Zord's still active, he can use it. So Rangers that are still in the battle can add cards back to the top of a Ranger from that battle can add 2 cards back to the top of their deck, so they can better stand up to an oncoming attack. Kimberly's 2 energy Pterodactyl, fantastic. Giving you quick energy, or you want to, just quick energy if you want to, just enough to either pay for something, like one of your power weapons, or if you just want to do some extra damage with Blade Blaster. An extra 2 energy can make all the difference in an enemy battle. And, I guess I'll go over at least the Megazord that comes in this game, in the base game. That's the one thing I actually haven't covered. And I'm going to call it the Megazord because that's what it was called in the series. It was never the Dino Megazord, it was just the Megazord. So the Megazord. And I understand why they called it Dino Megazord in this game, to help differentiate it in terms of gameplay rules. It helps to clarify things at times, but I haven't seen a situation where you couldn't just say the Megazord card as opposed to just the Megazord. to differentiate. But I get it. Like I said, it's just to make things easier down the line. But yeah, so anyway, the Megazord. Exhaust this card to place the Megazord token in any location. At the start of each battle in the Megazord's current location, deal 1 damage to each enemy card. So if you are lucky enough to obtain a Megazord card, I usually only play with 4 players, so I think there's only been once or twice with 4 players I've ever been able to get the Megazord. Still, it is definitely something you want to get, because, like this, at the start of each battle, it deals 1 damage to every enemy card. Doesn't matter if they're being guarded or not, what their abilities are, it does 1 damage. So even that, again, that annoying Eye Guy card will still take 1 damage from the Megazord. Even if both of them are on the field, they'll take 1 damage and be 1 step closer to being taken out. And since a lot of foot soldiers, I'd say maybe, I don't know if a lot of foot soldiers, but a decent number of foot soldiers only have 2 health. In that case, you've already cut their health in half, so it makes them a lot easier to deal with. Maybe with Zach's Hip Hop Keto or his Sweeping Strike, he can take out stuff and spread more damage a lot easier than he could before with the Megazord's help. Plus, just the free damage on everybody. So you didn't have to spend any energy for it, anything like that. It may not look like much on the surface, but it really can help during a battle. Just having that 1 extra damage, combined with Kimberly's Quick Shot at the start of the battle, that's 2 damage to any enemy you want. You could take out a foot soldier if you want, do more chip damage to that Eye Guy card, anything like that. That is the Mighty Morphin team. Next, I will probably go over Tommy Oliver, Mighty Morphin Green, as he came in the Kickstarter exclusive expansion that was launched alongside the base game. It's just that you can't play the game with just that Kickstarter exclusive box. You need the base game in order to play the game. And I'm thinking, actually, now that I've completed the Mighty Morphin team, I'll probably cover each set as they've been released and cover every ranger in that set, in each expansion, big box, cover them each individually first, and then go over them, how they work together in that group, even if they weren't a team in the series themselves. Just to kind of give an overview of how they work together in the game, because I'm sure they paired them together for a reason, not just popularity. But I think that would be fun. Plus, it's a lot easier than having to just go by completed teams, because there's still quite a few that haven't been completed. And rather than jumping from team to team, I'll just cover them as they're released. And then eventually, as more and more teams are completed, I'll go over them again, just as how they work together like they would in the show or something like that. But yeah, just let me know if I missed anything or if you'd like me to expand more. I didn't want to go too into detail. Plus, since this is still new to me in terms of this type of coverage, I wasn't exactly sure what I should be talking about. So I'm sure eventually I'll come back and redo all these characters, maybe all the tutorials and stuff like that in the future once I, get a better handle on things. But for the time being, I hope this has been helpful to you guys. Remember, the Power Axe is a great weapon that you want to use as much as possible. And don't sleep on the Mighty Morphin team. Check out oncearanger.com for the full card database, and affiliate links will be provided below and on the website itself. Thank you.